The door's off, all the hinges glued, everything's, the jambs glued in. Now we just have to place a piece in there so we can cut it and then file it and get it to the right length. So what I've done is I've mocked up the tub, the interior tub here, and I'm just going to slide that in, and we're going to make a mark so that we can figure out where this needs to meet up. So you got to get the tub in there and get it set where it should be, and then this will give us an idea of how our hinges will work if they have clearance on here. Oh, this looks pretty good. Looks like it's going to shut pretty nicely. Okay, so now we've got, one thing I would do is, now that you see the tub, you've got enough clearance for the front window, and just make sure it gets set in there where it should get set. Looks like I forgot to trim a little, so it'll set right. So I'm going to trim this off the tub here so it'll set right. I forgot to trim off these little pieces. So let's get the tub in there, the interior tub, and see where everything sets. And we can tack it in there with tape and make sure we get everything fitted just right. Okay, so everything's looking pretty good. Tub needs to go up a little bit here and there. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so we're going to have to trim this top piece right there so we can get a better fit. Now, when trimming, I usually like to take a nice pair of scissors and trim it, or take a really nice sharp X-Acto blade and just run it right along. Since the styrene is so thin, it should cut fairly easily, so you can just trim little bits away. Just shave it down till you have it where you need it. We've got that side trimmed down. Let's put the tub back in. The hinges out of the way. So slide that tub in there and see if we can get a nice idea of how far we have to trim that door jamb back. Once we get that in there nice, to give us a better idea of where we need to be. Now, one problem with this kit is if you can see that little hole right there, looks like a pin to where the body and the interior tub would fit. But if you notice, there's no pin here. So we're going to have to figure out as best we can where that is going to line up for us. So make sure everything's in there. We've got to make sure everything's centered. And then we can take small pieces of tape to secure the interior tub where we want it. Okay, so we can tape this down. This gives us a better idea. And okay, so we've got it fitted in there. Looks like everything will be good. This might have to come a little out this way. But now we have a good idea of how far we need to go back. We need to go back to this line. And it needs to be straight. Straight down this inside line here. So I usually take a pencil and try to give me a reference of where that inside mark is, so I can sand, cut, whatever I need to do to get it back to that piece. Okay, and I can do an outside line here and here. Now we just need to get this back to here, and then we can trace these out and then glue these on and sand them down, and then we've got our jamb that holds the door, and then we will go to work on the fit of the door panel to the door. And we will be using, I believe it's 16-inch rod as a gap filler down at the bottom of the door here. And I'll be using this 16th-inch rod, which I don't know if you can see it very well, but I'm going to use this rod down at the bottom to fill that gap. Okay, so we'll get to sanding and get that evened out. Now that we have the door jambs even with the back panel of the interior tub, all I did was take a razor knife and I just went down slightly, just ever so slightly, down this, and I just trimmed away and let the blade rest right there, and just slowly trimmed away. And take a sanding stick and even it up, and then I'll take my piece of styrene and I will hold it in there. Okay, it's kind of tricky to do on camera, but I'll hold it in there and I will trace a line around it, and this will give me a nice curve, so I can take my scissors and cut that curve out and glue that in. We can glue that in as close as we can, and then sand that jam down, maybe putty it up a little bit. So we just take a little bit of our liquid cement, and I just take a little bit on the edge here, and a little bit on this edge here, just a tiny bit. Careful you don't hit the interior tub with this, or that'll be stuck. So now we're going to place that best we can right there. We're just going to get that, get the glue out of the way so you can see here. We're just going to get that piece set in there as tight as we can. Just going to let that set up a little bit. Okay, so now we've got that kind of glued in there at the right spot to where we can trim it, and now we can complete that jam. And this is kind of the tricky part. You're going to have to get that interior jam to match that piece inside. Okay, and so that's not too difficult, but it is a little tricky. You want to use your pencil, and you just want to make nice marks here, and usually you do this after it dries thoroughly, but you want to make a nice mark here where the top is, and if possible go through the back window and outline the interior of the back panel. So once you've got that done, now you can start trimming and sanding and get that flush with the back panel.